Victims' Voices with Fighting H.A.R.D is paid for, in part, with the federal highway safety funding by the Missouri Department of Transportation.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Oh, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Oh.
Victims' Voices with Fighting H.A.R.D. Jamecia, welcome to the Victims' Voices podcast.
Thank you.
How are you feeling in this moment?
A bit nervous.
You're nervous?
Yes, I'm nervous, but I'm all in. I'm in. I'm here. I'm ready to, dive into the conversation and continue the healing process.
So tell me what you're all in on. So your Victims' Voices was created to tell stories beyond the byline. And one of your story is actually one of the most compelling that hasn't been told. You want to tell us why that is?
I don't know.
So it's very difficult to speak to it.
Yes.
And I completely understand.
I was the driver of the one who had hit someone and ran. So it's really difficult still after all this time to own up to it and be accountable, especially so in like this space when you're around so many people whose lives were impacted by someone that would allow themselves to be that irresponsible. So I'm just still kind of struggling with the emotions and learning how to communicate that.
So for listeners that don't know, when did that take place?
In 2004.
So it's been 21 years since that incident, and a lot has taken place in the 21 years since being the driver of a hit and run. So just for the listeners to know, it was a hit and run, and the individual survived.
Yes.
The individual did survive. So tell us more about your 21-year journey as a driver of a hit and run.
Well, in the 21 years that have passed since, I still feel like it's something that happened yesterday. I have not been able to really move past it in my mind. I have not forgiven myself. I have since done the work to address the addiction that went along with why the decisions, I made, or choices I made, I did.
And what were those addictions?
Alcohol addiction.
Okay.
Struggled with alcohol off and on for a very, very long time. I've just recently been clean about 5 years. So it's still something that was very much my fallback when things got stressful. I do still carry the guilt of what had happened. Since then, I've had more children. I've watched them grow up. I've watched them become drivers themselves or choose not to become drivers because they don't necessarily understand why mom doesn't drive, and having to learn how to tell that story to them, or why things are for me the way they are. I've gone back to school here recently in the last 6 months, and the course of study is theology, and that's been very helpful to be able to learn how to forgive myself and try to move forward and live my best life.
So you did mention something. You mentioned that you haven't been behind the wheel in 21 years.
I mean, not from the lack of trying. I've tried, but I just feel like I get really nervous. I wonder how many more me's are out there in the world. It's just a struggle. I get just really anxious behind the wheel, and it just still makes me feel like it's that impaired driving, or you're in a position to make a bad decision. I'm just no longer comfortable with that privilege of driving.
There's a misperception of drivers who are involved in hit and runs. We hear the word reckless. We hear the word decision making. This perception that drivers have no guilt, that drivers don't feel anything when someone either loses a life or a survivor hit and run. Would you like to share more about changing that perception to these listeners that are listening to you today?
I don't disagree that at the time, yes, it was very reckless. It was irresponsible. You know, some of the perceptions that people think, they're absolutely right. And until the driver can accept that and acknowledge that, I don't think that they're able to move forward and try to find some form of repentance or a way to just provide a family some healing. I don't know what I can say to change someone's mind. I would encourage anyone that has found themselves in my shoes to really take an honest look at themselves and be very honest with who they were then and who they want to become, so that they can try to, and I'm talking to myself right now, so that they can try to find a path forward and how to allow God to change and use something that was meant for just evil and to destroy you to work out for something better and good.
As you know, my sister, Jameca Stanfield, was killed by a hit-and-run driver on April 12, 2016. And at the time, I didn't know your story. And we uncovered our story together, which was one of the most revealing moments for me. Today, you tell this story. Today, on Victims Voices podcast, you tell your story. That's your step to recovery. That is your step to healing. Why was that important to you? Why is this important to you? Knowing that this was a family member that has been impacted as well. Tell us more about that when you made that decision.
It was an opportunity to try to move forward. I don't know how to explain the pull and the tug you feel, and the more you try to be like, no, I'm not going to do that. It just was something that rose up in me in that moment when we were talking that was like, it is time. It's time to deal with what has happened. And to be perfectly honest, you're a safe space for me, and you always have been. And so it made it a little easier to open up to you and to realize that what you're doing does work both ways. It provides voices to both sides, and it will open the door to healing for both sides. I mean, I am honored to sit among these families and just humbled that they would even accept me with wide open arms. I don't know if I was on the other end, that's something that I would be able to reciprocate. So just in that moment, just something rose up, and I feel like it's almost one of those things where you speak before you really think about it, and then you just follow through.
Divinity is extremely important in these moments. You are absolutely correct. Your story can help change perspectives, your courage, your strength. There are many drivers out there that are making wrong decisions and bad decisions. Your story and coming forward could assist many people to come forward or make that decision, the right decision in that moment. So we thank you. We appreciate you more than you know. And your courage is admirable. Thank you. Victims' Voices with Fighting H.A.R.D.
Fighting H.A.R.D would like to thank all the families and supporters, General Motors, Tom Everson of Keep Kids Alive Drive 25, and MoDOT. Up next on Victims' Voices with Fighting H.A.R.D.
On impact, it knocked her car to the gas station that's on the corner of Delmar and Kings Highway, and the car caught on fire. My sister Ebony was in the car. My sister Annie Brandy was in the car as well. Ebony was not able to get out. People tried to get her out, but they could not get Ebony out, and she literally burned to death.